All right, here we go. Today we have RJ Cipriani, who unknowingly laundered millions of dollars in drug money for Owen Hanson, aka the cocaine quarterback, who we recently interviewed. RJ wants to respond to some of the allegations that Owen made in our interview. So RJ, welcome to VladTV.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now you've been gambling since you were a kid.
16 years old.
16. Why gamble?
I had the unfortunate position of having friends that were degenerate gamblers that were much older than me, and I hung with them. I went to bars with them, and they took me gambling. And I figured, hey, this is good money, fast money, easy money if you win. And so that's what I started to do.
Okay, and over the years, some of your friends would actually give you money to gamble on their behalf.
All the time. But I've had people like constantly ask me, people that don't know me and people that know me, hey, how about if I give you this? Can you win me money? Now, I tell them, there's no guarantee I'm going to win. Now, only my dear friends will I gamble for. Other than that, I don't want to gamble with strangers' money. In fact, what I usually do is gamble for them with my money. So if they're down $5,000, $10,000, I mean, I've won money for Tony Danza. One time he was down a lot of money. I won his money back with my money. I usually do that. I don't like to use people's money unless I know them for, a long period of time.
Okay, now when someone gives you money to gamble, how's the money split up at the end?
Well, when somebody gives me money to gamble, they'll say to me, okay, how much do you want? How much? I said, okay, if I win, I'll take 50%, you take 50% of the win. Mm-hmm. But understand there's a chance we may not win.
Right.
And if we don't win, it's your problem because you're the one coming to me.
Right. So you have a 50% upside on the wins and a 0% downside.
Yeah, that's
on the
why
losses.
I don't like to do it often because it benefits me more than it benefits them. I try to discourage people all the time, but some people go, come on, man, come on. Now, sometimes I've done it where I don't take anything because I win like 5 or 10 grand, I just give it to them.
Got it. Okay,
but it's not a regular practice.
Got it. So right around 2011 or so, Owen Hanson was in Australia and he was moving cocaine for the Cartel. And at one point, he was making as much as $2 million a day at the height of his drug empire. So with millions of dollars coming in, he had to launder the money. And he tried a whole bunch of different things through Ugg boots and so forth, but he couldn't quite figure out how to launder a lot of money very quickly.
So now we're getting 20 birds now. Uncle Louis is taking the 20 birds, and within a half an hour, he's bringing me $2 million now. $1 million for El Jefe, $1 million for me. And we start doing it, and doing it. Take Saturdays and Sundays off. Monday, we're back up. Now, all of a sudden, I'm sitting on $10 million in my Sydney condo apartment. It's like a 1-bedroom studio. It's tiny. And now I'm like, okay, what do we do now? Like, I'm telling El Jefe, like, okay, when are you going to pick up yours? Because you got to remember, half of it's his, Vlad. I'm like, hey, you ready to pick up yours? Like, I want to get this shit off. He's like, what? You don't remember? I paid you to do what you're doing. It's your job to figure that out. I'm like, okay, this is why he hired me. He hired me to take the money and launder it back. That was my job. That's why I'm making $1 million a day. I'm like, fuck. How the fuck am I going to do that? I don't know a thing about this. I'm in another country. So I remember I called my accountant and I told him, I said, hey, I got a customer over here that's gambling with me. I'm not going to tell my accountant that I'm working for the cartel. I told my accountant, I got a customer over here that's gambling and he's losing a bunch of money. I said, I'm sitting on about $5 million of my own money. And I need a way to get it out of here. And my accountant goes, it's gambling money? I go, yeah. He says, I'm not worried about gambling money. It's legal in Australia. So what do? Call a girlfriend from back home. I'm just talking to her. I'm like, what do I do? Like, what's the plan here? Like, I'm telling her she thinks it's gambling money because I don't want to tell anybody I'm distributing this cocaine. She says, why don't you find someone that's in the, like a VIP, like a gambler, like a whale, like that can play it through the casinos. She goes, I know a blackjack player that's a high roller in Vegas. I'm like, oh yeah? What are you thinking? She's like, why don't you go talk to him? That's the play.
And that's when he came up with the idea of actually laundering money through casinos. Now, Owen was married to a woman named Krista Velarde,
Yes.
who
With
was
2 kids.
your ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend from years prior, 8-10 years prior.
Okay. And through her, you guys got introduced.
She introduced us over the phone. He never came to meet me for the first time. First of all, let me go back, because he said he was making $2 million a day. To my knowledge, he wasn't making that. If he was making $2 million a day to get $4 million, he could get that in 2 days. He didn't pay off the cartel. So I don't believe anything from Jump Street with Owen Hanson, because there was no millions of dollars per day. If he did, then he wouldn't have worried about the 2.5 million, because it was 1 day's work. Let's face it.
Yeah. Okay. So what is Robinhood 702?
Robinhood 702 is a charity that I help people through gambling. I used to have a website. I would put up put up your story, whether it's a video, whether it's a typed in message, and I would pick somebody that I would help, and bring them to casino, fly them in, and do this whole thing where they would have a high roller experience. I would sit with my money and try to win their money back. And then it became too crazy, because people were asking me for 400,000, 500,000, 800,000. So I took down the website. But it got a lot of attention for Fox News, and I did, a few Fox News programs to kind of promote what I was doing.
Okay, so you get introduced to Owen through Krista.
On the phone.
On the phone.
We never met. She said to me, I have a friend, she said, never said it was her husband. I have a friend that's a big businessman in Australia. And I said, I'm actually going to Australia to help people in Australia. And I knew a guy named Richard Wilkins, who was a big reporter there. And she said, well, I can introduce you to a guy. He would love to get involved in your Robinhood's charity. And I said, but you understand, Krista, I don't win all the time. I mean, it's a chance. It's a big chance. You should discourage him. No, it's okay. Let's meet him. And she calls him on the phone. And that's when he got on the phone with me. That was it. I'm coming to Australia. When you coming? I think it was June or so. Later part of June. I can't remember the dates. I have it on my phone. So I said, all right, I'll meet you there. We'll talk. And that was it. I showed up at the Sydney Four Seasons. Again, he's saying that he paid for the room, and he paid for this, and he paid for that.
I tell him, hey, my name's Junior DeLuca. I'm not telling him what my real name is, because I don't know who this guy is. Hey, I'm Junior DeLuca. My girlfriend, she told me about you. Would you be willing to, I've got some money from a customer of mine. I'm a bookie. I said, I got some money in Australia, and I can't get it out. It's cash. I said, what would you charge me? He said, I'll charge you 25%, but I want a first-class ticket to Australia. I want the penthouse suite at the Four Seasons. And I want all the money to be in a Toomey luggage. I'm like, fuck, this guy obviously knows what he's doing, right? He's barking these orders like he's definitely a whale, right? He goes, this is what I'm going to do for you for 25%. I'm going to have my host in Las Vegas call the Star Casino in Sydney, Australia, and they're going to let them know that this high roller is coming in from Vegas, and that he's going to be playing at the tables there.
I set up the room, the jet, on my own. I took a Qantas A380, I think it's called, and I stayed at the Four Seasons. I think it was in one of the suites. So there was nothing set up from him. I paid for it. In fact, when I went, I also got a suite at the Star Casino, because that's where I was going to play.
Okay. You guys met up.
He showed up at the bar at the Four Seasons.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was told to meet him. He'd be at the bar. I told him when I was going to be landing. He met me at the bar. We sat and talked. I don't drink. I was having like a water. And he took me to his place, which was literally right around the corner, and walked me in. It was a very nondescript, like apartment building. And we went in, and he had a suitcase with what he said was $1 million. And I said, well, how much you want to do? He says, $1 million. I said, you understand that this is not always a guarantee. And he said, no, Krista said you're solid. I believe in you. And when he said that, I believe in you, I'm like, really? He goes, in fact, he opened the cupboard and he took like another $500,000 out and put it in another little bag. There was no Toomey luggage thing. There was no demand for Toomey luggage. I mean, I have Toomey luggage, but there was no demand. You have to put it in Toomey luggage. There was none of that. So, listen, the reason why I came here is because this guy's done 40 podcasts, and he just keeps spewing lie after lie after lie. And I value my intellectual property. I'm just trying to do my own stuff, and I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give the goods away, but I'm forced to. And if I'm going to give it, I'm going to give it to respectable podcasters like you, because I heard some good stuff about you.
Thank you.
That's why I'm here. But I don't want to tell this story because I don't need people going, oh, that's the guy, that's the guy. He needs all this attention because that's the kind of guy he is. He's a narcissist. He's a guy that likes to be in the limelight. But everything from the point of a friend telling him about me was a lie. I mean, it wasn't a friend, it was his wife. Why can't you say it was your wife? What's the big deal? Why are you shielding your wife? You're saying you were doing stuff for the cartel, but you want to keep your wife, who I hear he's not even with anymore? Why? Because she's the one that's like this with the cartel. She's the one that dated cartel people since she's 18 years old. That's the problem.
So are you saying that his wife, Krista, is actually El Jefe?
Listen, I've never heard of El Jefe ever. I never heard of a connection to the cartel. All I know is for sure there's two people that I know that absolutely were giving drugs to him. Krista Velarde from the cartel in Mexico. She lives in Guadalajara. And another guy is named Portocarrero. And they were one of the owners of Macho Sports where Owen first worked. One of the guys lived in Peru and he was sending drugs to Owen. That's the connections.
Got it.